The moon hung low in the ink-black sky, casting eerie shadows that danced across the crumbling facade of the abandoned building. Its windows, once proud sentinels of light, were now shattered and hollow, their frames cloaked in layers of dust and decay. The air was heavy, with a palpable sense of foreboding, as if the very walls held on to the memories of what had transpired within. The townspeople whispered about the place, their voices hushed and tinged with unease. They spoke of a dark history, of unspeakable events that had unfolded behind the crumbling walls. Legends of restless spirits and malevolent entities had woven themselves into the fabric of the town's collective consciousness, ensuring that the building remained untouched by time or progress. But I couldn't resist the pull. As someone who had always been fascinated by the macabre, my curiosity got the better of me. My nights were spent poring over spine-chilling stories. My mind, a tapestry of dark fantasies and whispered what-ifs. The abandoned building was a siren's call to my morbid fascination. I researched its history, unearthing tales of a once thriving mansion that had fallen into disrepair after a series of unexplained tragedies. Rumors of disappearances, strange symbols daubed on the walls, and inexplicable noises echoed through its corridors and fueled my obsession. Friends and family warned me against it, their concerned voices like distant echoes, but the allure was too strong. It was as if the building was a puzzle begging to be solved, a mystery that I couldn't resist unraveling. The night that I finally stood before the building, a mixture of trepidation and excitement coursed through my veins. The wind whispered through the broken doorways and shattered windows, carrying a mournful wail that seemed to seep from the very bricks. The darkness felt alive, shifting and moving as if the shadows themselves were watching. I stepped over the threshold, heart pounding into my chest like a frantic drumbeat. My flashlight cast a feeble beam that revealed a hallway engulfed in decay. Wallpaper peeled like the skin of some ancient creature shedding its disguise, and the floorboards creaked underfoot as if protesting my intrusion. And with each step I took was a deliberate push against the warning voices that echoed in my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling I was being watched, that the stories of malevolent entities had a basis in reality. But I pushed forward, unable to quell the insatiable hunger to uncover the truth. As I explored deeper into the building, the air grew colder and the silence thicker. The walls seemed to close in on me, and strange shapes danced at the edge of my vision, shadows twisted, contorted, taking on eerie forms that vanished when I turned to look directly at them. A chill ran through my spine. I couldn't shake the sensation that I was not alone. The further I ventured, the more the building seemed to change around me. Corridors twisted and turned in ways that defied logic, leading me in circles and making me doubt my own sense of direction. Whispers brushed against my ears, faint but distinct, carrying unintelligible words that sent a shiver once again down my spine. In the heart of the building, I stumbled upon a room unlike any other. The walls were adorned with these faded symbols. It was as if the room held the key to the building's dark past, a secret carefully preserved throughout the ages. As I moved closer to examine these symbols, a cold breeze ruffled at the hair on the back of my neck. I turned, and there, stood in the doorway, was a figure cloaked in the shadows. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, fixing me in a gaze that sent terror coursing through my veins. In that moment, the legends became reality, and the horror stories I devoured were no longer mere fiction. As the figure advanced, a guttural whisper slithered into my mind, unraveling my thoughts and replacing them with a chilling sensation. Some mysteries were never meant to be unraveled, and some doors are better left unopened. My breath was caught in my throat as the figure drew nearer, its presence radiating an overwhelming sense of malevolence. My flashlight trembled in my grip, its feeble beam flickering against the encroaching darkness. Panic surged within me, urging me to flee, but a morbid curiosity held me rooted in place, a moth mesmerized by the flame. The figure whispered words that wormed their way into my mind, insidious and incomprehensible. They echoed through with my thoughts, distorting reality and reason. The symbols on the wall seemed to writhe, their ancient etchings shifting and rearranging themselves, as if responding to the figure's dark incantations. I stumbled backwards, my heart pounding like a frantic drum. The walls seemed to close, the very architecture contorting from the top of the room to trap me within its grasp. Desperation clawed at my chest as I fought to remain a semblance of rationality amidst this suffocation of fear. With a surge of adrenaline, I turned and bolted from the room, my footsteps echoing down the twisted corridors. The building itself seemed to rebel against my escape, its walls shifting and warping as if determined to keep me ensnared within its depths. Panic drove me forward, every instinct screaming at me to find an exit, to break free from these clutches of malevolence. I raced through the darkness. The building seemed to mock my efforts, though. Doorways led to dead ends, corridors twisted back upon themselves, and the air grew thicker with an otherworldly cheer. Whispers pursued me, taunting and deranged, the words they carried slipping through the cracks of my sanity. Time lost its meaning as I stumbled onward. My pulse was pounding in my ears, and just when I thought I was trapped in an inescapable maze of despair, a glimmer of moonlight beckoned from an open doorway. Gasping for air, I burst through the exit and into the cool night, the sensation of freedom washing over me like a balm. I collapsed to the ground, my body shaking with a mixture of exhaustion and relief. The abandoned building looming behind me, its facade seemingly unchanged from the outside. But I knew better now. I knew that darkness lurked beyond those walls, and that malevolent force had nearly consumed me. Days turned into weeks, and I found myself haunted by memories of that night. Nightmares plagued my sleep, twisted visions of shadowy figures in shifting corridors. The symbols etched into my mind a constant reminder of the incomprehensible evil I had encountered. Friends and family noticed a change in me. The way my once curious gaze had turned into one of haunted apprehension. I knew that the building's darkness had left a mark on me, one that couldn't be easily shaken off. It was as if a part of me had remained trapped within those decaying walls, forever entwined with the malevolent energy that had lingered there for centuries. The horror stories I had once reveled in now felt too close, too real, their pages a reflection of the nightmares that had become my reality. I had sought to uncover a mystery, to experience the thrill of the unknown, but in doing so, I had become a part of the story. A protagonist in a horror tale that refused to release its grip, and the abandoned building had revealed its secrets. In return, it had taken something from me I feared I could never fully reclaim. I found myself forever changed, marked by the horrors of that fateful night. The moon continued to cast its eerie glow upon the abandoned building, its secrets hidden within its decaying walls, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to be drawn into a sinister embrace. Weeks had passed since that night at the abandoned building, but the echoes still reverberate through my days and nights. The symbols haunted my thoughts, their twisted forms etched into my mind like scars. Sleep came fitfully, disturbed by dreams of shadowy figures and endless mazes. As I struggled to regain my sense of normalcy, an unsettling sensation began to creep over me. A feeling that I was being watched. The eyes unseen were fixed upon me, following my every move. It started as a vague unease, A brush of icy fingers against the back of my neck and gradually escalated into an unshakable paranoia that was gnawing at my sanity. The sensation reached its peak one night when I returned to my dimly lit apartment after a long day of trying to distract myself from the lingering horrors. I closed the door behind me, the click of the lock echoing in the silence. But the feeling of being watched only intensified, the air thickening with an oppressive energy. I turned on all the lights, attempting to banish the shadows. My heart raced. Every creak of the floorboard sent shivers down my spine. I felt as if a presence was in the room with me, an invisible entity that had invaded the sanctuary of my home. Then, as I stood, frozen in fear, a voice whispered my name. A raspy, distant call that seemed to emerge from the very walls themselves. My breath caught and a chill ran down my spine. Trembling, I scanned the room, my eyes wide with terror. And there in the far corner, a shadowy figure materialized, its form barely discernible in the dim light. My mind reeled, unable to process the sight before me. The figure's eyes glowed with an eerie light, fixing me in a gaze that seemed to pierce through to my very soul. Its presence radiated a familiarity that sent shockwaves through my consciousness, a sensation that I couldn't quite grasp. As I watched, this figure extended a shadowy hand towards me, its movements deliberate. My pulse quickened, and I took a hesitant step backward. The instinct to flee, warring with an inescapable curiosity. The figure's whispered voice slithered into my mind, words that transcended language, speaking to a part of me that I hadn't known existed. And then, as if in a nightmare, memories surged forth from the depths of my consciousness, fragments of a life I'd once lived, a life intertwined with the very essence of the figure before me, a life that had been cut short. It was in that moment that I realized the truth. This figure wasn't an external force or a malevolent entity. It was a reflection of my own soul. A fragment of a former life that had been entangled with the horrors of this abandoned building. The symbols, the shifting corridors, they were all echoes of a past that had never truly been laid to rest. The figure beckoned to me, his presence imbued with an undeniable yearning. I approached cautiously, a mix of fear and awe coursing through my veins. As our fingertips brushed, a surge of energy passed between us, memories and emotions, intertwining in a dance of recognition. Tears welled into my eyes as I finally understood. The figure was not there to harm me. It was a part of me, a piece of my soul that had been left behind, trapped in the darkness of that abandoned building. It had followed me home, drawn to the beacon of the life I now lived. In that moment of connection, I sensed purpose. I had the power to heal, to release the trapped fragments of my soul from the shackles of my past. The figure's glow intensified, its form becoming more defined, as if fueled by the realization of our shared purpose. But as we embraced, a chilling realization washed over me. The figure was not here to be healed. It was here to consume. The memories it stirred were not of a benevolent past, but a life steeped in darkness, a life that sought power at all costs. And as the shadowy figure enveloped me, I screamed, the echoes of my cries swallowed by the malevolent force that had once been a part of me. The apartment, once a sanctuary, transformed into a chamber of horrors. The walls began closing in like a suffocating trap that I had seen in the building that fateful night. In facing the darkness of my past, I had unleashed a force beyond my control, a force that had been waiting for the opportunity to merge with the present. A figure's presence whispered promises of power and domination, filling my mind and drowning out the futile struggles of life. As the shadows consumed me, I realized that it was too late. I had become a vessel for the malevolence that I once feared.